Okay,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
official.
we good, we good.
Live. We good, we good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Guardians Echo episode 28. I am so excited today because we have a guest.
Special guest.
And
Yeah.
yeah, a special guest. And then I think like we also arranged guests for next week and the week after, right? So we're we're on a good start. So
Nice.
before we kick off, how should we do this? You want to do a quick self intro?
Sure. Good to be here. Always fun to chat with you, Mina, and nice to meet Alvin. Yeah, I'm Dino, one of the co-founders of Fluent, and partner to Sprout, and definitely a Sprouty.
Wear your
Nice,
Sprouty
nice.
headband. I gotta make
Oh,
all those headbands.
you gotta give me one. I was picking which hat to wear. This one's a little shout out to my ETH Bushwick friends. Shout out DeFi Dave specifically.
I have this one. I also have a pink version.
Oh wow, I don't have the pink
Oh,
one. I gotta get
nice.
that.
Oh, should I?
Okay.
Okay, give me 1 second. I will go find the pink
Yeah, go
version.
get your ETH Bush hat. Yeah, I need a Sprout hat. I don't have a Sprout hat. Do you have a Sprout hat?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, we need
No.
Sprout hats.
so so okay. Sprout is green, right? If I make a sprout hat, it will be a green hat. Do you know what that means in Chinese culture? I will let Alpha
Look at my
explain.
avatar. Look at my PFP. I literally have a green hat and I rock it with pride.
Let me explain. No, let Alpha explain. Alpha explain what a green hat means in Chinese
Oh.
culture.
Um.
Come on, come
Uh.
on. I'm
I had to
explaining
try
this
this.
to you.
Explain this. Okay. If you have a stable relationship with your partner, like girlfriend or wife, but she's cheating on you, so we will say, oh, we have a green hat, like something like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Mina told me that when I made the Milady, and I doubled down, man. I doubled down. You can change the narrative. That's the theme we should get across. You can change the
what's the
damn narrative.
narrative? What's the narrative? I want to hear now.
Green hats are cool. So there's some nice colored greens, and you can rock a green hat within a stable relationship or as a flourishing single. And so
I
that's
mean,
why you should produce Sprout hats, because if we change this narrative, then people will happily rep Sprout hats because it'll stand for something different. It'll stand for compounding growth.
yes, I definitely will make the sprout hat like the logo as well as the green. I think it's
Wait,
okay.
where's your pink hat? You thought you were going to get it.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay.
but I just don't
Nice.
want it to mess my hair. But you
Oh,
see.
Cool.
Thank you, DeFi Dave, for your sponsor for the hats.
he's the
Mm.
man. He's the man. Yeah, I
Okay,
love this hat.
but let's get back to what we're talking about, right? And I think this is very serious. So no more jokes about green hats. We are talking about reputation today, and I think the three of us all have a long story to tell about reputation. We all are long-term builders in the space. Alvin has always talked about reputations. He has been rocking on Ethos Score. Oh, Ethos Score. And also like Dino, you guys just announced your partnership with Ethos, right? And then for
Oh,
me,
nice.
I'm always building trust in the space because of like the kind of product Sprout is. And but unfortunately, during this last 7 days, we have seen two major or two sad events in the space. One is troll, the other one is space. So let's talk about reputation. I think let's kick off with the topic that like I mean personally, I have been building docs, right? I show my face everywhere. Everybody knows my full name, where I live, and everything. But in crypto space, there's long term this concept. Okay, there's a lot of ANOT accounts. I have nothing against ANOT accounts, but it seems like ANOT accounts are giving the a lot of people who are intentionally utilizing that feature to hide their identity and so that they have less pressure and lower bar for committing crime. or scammy events. What do you guys think? You guys are all doxxed, but do you guys think like all the founders should be doxxed? If not, what's the solution?
I think it sits on a spectrum, to be honest, first off, in terms of like docs versus not docs, right? Like I think that the more there are a few spectrums you consider. One is like docs to not docs. It's like, what does that actually mean? Like, yeah, I show my face, but Dino is absolutely a pseudonym, and I've stuck to it. And although at the same time, like, how much does that matter when you can get when there is a pseudonym, and yet you still can get to know many aspects of the person. You can meet them in person. You can get to know their personality. You can, yeah, we're friends. We hang out. We can you get to know them in person. You meet them, you learn what they're all about. There's like repeated instances of somebody saying that they're going to do something and then they do it. There's kind of like a track record. Maybe there's on-chain activity, maybe there's social activity. There's just like all this stuff together about, um, to inform your inferences and judgments like about a person. It's just like, okay, well, like so it does sit on, just want to note out that it does sit on this spectrum. And I think like the more important thing, as we've talked about before hopping on here, is that it's really more about the reputation that somebody brings, versus whether or not they're rocking a cat picture as a profile, or their face, or their government issued identity. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's unfortunate what's been happening. Um, and but I definitely don't. I think people misattribute it to like this. It's easy to oversimplify it and be like, oh, they're not docs. But like to me, that's just not the biggest part of the problem. The biggest part of the problem is that you know I to be clear, I don't know anything about the Trove founders, and I don't really know like that story in depth. We've been kind of heads down focusing on our stuff, so I can't give you like details, to be honest.
Mm.
But what I do know is that like it doesn't seem like anybody knew who these people are, and it's not about the name. Like nobody knows, if nobody knows like where you're coming from, what you've done in the past, like have you kept your word in the past? Are you like kind of known by others to be like a trustworthy, high integrity person? I mean, that's the problem. Like you like why? I mean, when you're making like an investment in something, it should at least strongly factor in the people. And if you don't know any of the people, you're missing an enormous part of the equation. That's my take. I know you guys are more doxed than slightly more doxed than me, and maybe you have different takes on that.
Is this a competition?
Uh, not
Almonds
so much.
takes. Mm. Mm.
Yeah, founders should be doxed, and it's not only the credibility issue, but also mm, so many like sketchy uh, cases happened previously in the space, and like many retail investors are not confidential anymore ever, especially these 2 years. So if there are more institutions and uh, like well-established projects coming in the space, I think for the retail investors, and they need more like public information for them to trust in projects they want to invest in. So I think yes. So maybe they can keep themselves from uh, experiencing the sad story happen these days. So actually, I had a idea. Why don't we have a customized dashboard for the public? They can utilize this analytics tool to check like all the factors each project has. That the project is stocks or not. If the team had like bad uh bad story previously, and also if the projects pivoted a lot of several times but didn't have any like contribution or real products. I think they have a it has a multi-dimensional metric for like investors. They can check how these projects will go in the future.
Mm.
So I think
I-
it's very useful for the retail investors.
Yeah, I think it also depends on the phase of the projects, right? But before diving to the different kind of data we can expose to the user, I do think trust, or whether you can believe in this project is a continuous function, meaning like
Yeah,
what both of you guys mentioned, what has the founder or the project team did in the past? Have they delivered what they really said they're gonna deliver it in a timely manner, right? If they haven't delivered, what was the reason? And
yeah,
and
like a proven track. Mm.
correct. And also, hello to everyone who joined our like space today. I see all your hellos. Okay, so I will say hello to all the like Owens fans, my fans, Sprouts community member, as well as like Dino Influence community member. Welcome to our live stream. Today we are talking about reputation. And just to get back to the reputation a little bit, I also think like there are certainly different kind of products in the space, right? You have products like all those different prep decks or poly markets. I will classifying them as trading pits, where users they want to gamble, they wanted to bet on a direction to earn money all the time. And there will be also projects like Sprout. What I'm building is like helping users to earn risk adjusted yields and to like our goal is not to let users trade all the time. It's more like okay, you use your time, use your patience to exchange for money accrued, to exchange for your compounded growth. And then there will be a third category, probably is podcaster, Twitter, and also Lens, where people are just connecting with each other and share their feelings or looking for some sort of belonging. And all of those different projects, you can even further break down into projects that have already launched a token versus the projects that in the growth mode. And I think like for all those different phases, the trust and then the reputation required is very different. Meaning maybe the product is very very good at building a good product, but it doesn't necessarily can transfer your reputation or whether they're going to launch a successful token. To me it's
Yeah,
almost
100%.
two separate businesses, right? And we have seen plenty of those cases. I mean, I just to name a few, like you see probably a forecaster, they raise a lot of money if you guys remember, right? But they do a good launch for
Yeah,
token
it's
or
an
even
interesting topic. Mm.
yeah. I feel like so I do think like going forward with where the world is going and with where how all the different data tools analytics tools are evolving and even like people's attention, we will get into super deep and niche and expert level of
Yeah,
breakdown. And this is like something I think the three of us all very interested, but we are all like coming from our own perspective. Alvin is coming more from like what projects he should be featuring, working with, as well as like investing in. Right? Me, my angle is more like what products should we build our strategy on top of and what kind of yield strategy should we put into our risk management system, right? Is it worth consideration? And then Dino's angle is more like okay, how does he improve Fluent Connect as a product and how does he collect all those different data sources so that he understand not only the builders but also all the Fluent Connect users. And I wanted us to share all like from our own angles around that, right? What's our plan or what are we using? What kind of data or what kind of tools are we using every day to say, oh, whether I can trust this person, whether I can trust this protocol or not? Who want to start?
Yeah. So one thing to clarify is,
Mm,
in my view, reputation is largely context dependent, right? And so, like, one way that humans, just based on how we evolve, like, can't help but think about reputation is around almost like a universal reputation or some type of like binary, like good versus bad thing. And that was just because of like early human societies, right? Like, I mean, you had not more than a split second to make this very knee-jerk call of whether something will something eat me or not, is that part of my tribe or not, and like so we just like have this very finely tuned muscle deep in our brains that basically says like let me come to like an instant judgment that's like probably too binary. But as humans evolved, the context became the thing, and like you actually had time to breathe and think for a second of specialization also developed. So you had time to breathe and think, oh, what is the context that we're talking about, and does that person have some degree of reputation, good versus bad. Oh, by the way, it sits on a spectrum within that context. And so like that's kind of just like how things developed, and so we're here and we kind of have both of those muscles now. So like humans still can't help but make that like probably too binary universal reputation gut check of like, hey, they seem like a scammer or not, or like, oh, do they seem good or bad? And but in reality, you know, that's very coarse grain, and what you really need to make good like decisions throughout the world and coordinate with people is more of a focus on contextual reputation. So that's kind of I think what you guys were just starting to hint at, right? Like just because you might be an amazing person, you might be a phenomenal trader, but you might be a horrible cook, or you might have no knowledge about a certain topic. And like so I think reputation and like in that sense is very very context dependent, because you just mentioned Farcaster. You could be like, oh Dan, I mean I have my own thoughts on like, you know, Farcaster and how that concluded, but um you could say, "Oh, Dan is like an amazing founder, an amazing person," but you know, maybe made the wrong call on, you know, when crypto social would take off or something, and like maybe you can kind of look at that as its own kind of form of reputation and competencies on a specific, you know, topic or just whatever. This isn't a judgment call around Farcaster specifically, just because you guys mentioned it, but the point is these are different, right? Somebody could be phenomenally well intentioned, really competent at one thing and reputable at one thing, not very reputable at another thing. And the way you judge that is from, as Alvin was saying, like a variety of factors, right? What you want to do is like you want to use a bunch of different reputation signals as basically checks and balances against each other, and let the human's context computer come to the decision. So you just want a bunch of data to make the decision better. One thing that's been pretty interesting to see, I don't know if you guys have read the book Principles by Ray Dalio, but it's just a phenomenal book. And obviously, Ray Dalio is one of like the best investors of all time. Um, and they integrated something really deeply into Bridgewater way back when, before all this like AI stuff became democratized, and they basically called it weighted believability, and it's effectively just contextual reputation on different topics when to help them make decisions. And they factored in two things. One of those things was your logic and how sound your logic and reasoning was about a specific decision that was being made, and another one was your historical track record. And so I think those two were interesting, and they use their own proprietary like AI algorithms, and like they basically recorded everything, and they just kind of had their own bespoke ways of like tracking all of this stuff. But it was a combination of those two factors of like, okay, if it's some new terrain where nobody has experience, well, let's kind of use AI and evaluate like the logic behind everybody's perspectives, kind of like, you know, document that, and then we'll see who's right and who's wrong, and then that historical track record gets factored into the believability score of that person. And you don't, I mean, it's kind of contentious to talk about like our scores good, scores bad, but putting that aside, like you can definitely have all those data points that get added over time within different contexts to inform the believability or reputation of somebody on a certain topic or area of expertise. And like, so I think Alvin, you're right, which is just the answer is to have a bunch of different really intentional, well thought out, robust reputation signals that are used as checks and balances against each other over time.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree.
And there's a bunch of ways to do that. Like right now, like you guys mentioned Prince. I don't want to make this like this won't be a show piece, obviously, but like what we're trying to do is like aggregate all these different reputation signals together. And like, so the question is like, okay, what do you have to work with right now in a crypto context for crypto people? And there's some on-chain data that, I mean, there's plenty of on-chain data that you can draw from, like, you know, where people early users of certain now popular DeFi protocols. Maybe it's something like, you know, you people were early users of like if you're specific to a DeFi context, maybe you're early users of like Hyperliquid, maybe you're early users of Aave, maybe you're early users of Morpho or Polymarket or something like that. I mean, like if you were like early to one thing, it's possible. But if you're like early to like, you know, all the major DeFi protocols, like, I mean, you probably have some skill involved of sniffing out, like, you know, what things are going to be big and useful. And so, like, you can draw from like on-chain signals, but then you can also draw from more social off-chain signals, right? I mean, like, even, you know, people's influence on a given topic on Twitter. I mean, that's very narrow, but like that is a form of contextual reputation, along with,
Agree.
other topics you might want to talk about. So yeah, I think there's a ton. That's the cool thing. I think there's a ton of signals that are popping up now, and it's only going to accelerate from here. That you can then be really thoughtful about like curating, aggregating together, and then using as checks and balances.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I was a bit distracted because I was trying to connect to the official account of Sprout. My team has reminded me several times whenever I do live stream, I should connect. I was like, okay, I got to do this. But I mean, definitely, I'm a big fan of Redalio, his principles and his books, because this is like it's very very similar to the core ethos that we are building at Sprout. And then since you address it more from like a philosophical perspective, I want to address it more from maybe a DeFi perspective. um Essentially, I still think even till today, even though there are so many people joining the DeFi space or the crypto space, there's still a huge information asymmetry existing in this world. Meaning, like DeFi founders, DeFi protocols is still a very very small social circle, and the way the all the DeFi opportunities strategies surface is very different from how retail get access. And I will give a very concrete example. So when and why I think like making a product in as Sprout is very, very valuable for the next right now as well as until the next like 3 to 5 years. Because literally, I have been looking at many, many prep decks for the last 2 to 3 months to see like which one is worth building strategies on top of, right? And then I also chatted with a couple of DeFi KOLs who have been writing about those DeFi strategies in the space. And I asked them for the introduction. But I also asked a couple of my VC friends to introduce me to those prep decks, like founders or team. And essentially I realized like the level of information me as a a builder, right, who is like well connected in the space can get is on a deeper level than most of people. Because technically speaking, as a retail user, even if you go onto Twitter, you say, "Hey, I'm curious on this." Most of the time, you wouldn't get a very direct response from the founders or the team, or the information is already filtered in many different ways. The most direct logic here is like for Sprout's official account, right? I also don't manage it 24/7 because that's out of my capacity. I wouldn't have time. And then it will usually be one of the team members who will be managing the official account and answering the questions. And to be honest, that's already secondhand information in the way that like if it's not directly coming out from me or from maybe like I mean for as far it's just me because I handle almost everything and all the like important business decisions it's coming from here, right? So even if you ask my technical co-founder or my product co-founder, they probably wouldn't know the nitty gritty details of every single thing, like in terms of business. So if that's the case as well, then it's the same thing applied to every single other protocols, right? Whenever you have a conversation, you go out to talk to a business partner. Maybe this conversation just happened, right? And then your team, they are not inside your brain, so they don't know. So all I'm saying is that like the users are already getting the secondhand information. And thirdly, because of those tiered information, people who manage your social accounts, they also are concerned about themselves spreading or saying the wrong things or vague information. So they always need to double check before that. But in order to give you a prompt response, they probably they in order to give you a prompt response, then the only choice they left is to give you a vague information. And thirdly is because of your social impact as well as your connection in the space, right? Whenever I don't know, Alvin, if you feel this, like when you have a call with the founders, right? Maybe they will be concerned about telling you some information because you have this like good social media influence, right? They will be concerned if they say something potentially negative, then if you share with other people that it will be a negative impact on their token or on their product um influence or their adoption. So all those considered together, I feel like the three of us here, we all get very different level of information access, even though we are sort of in the same friend circle and then we are all builders. But people are willing to share different level of information, right? And then because like my personal interest or expertise, of course when I work with them I will ask very deep trading level details. They will also ask me how is our experience as a product building or using their SDK API, how is our latency, right? Because they know that's like one of our core requirement for like continue to use their protocol. With that being said, because I realized the difference between like all our information access. So my core goal is to make sure I'm always aware of those difference and to try my best to gather all the information necessary to make those yield strategies successful and transparent enough for the retail users so that they can not only trust us but also trust our decision, our execution on top of all those platforms. And then I will be very transparent with you, right? How we do it is you a lot of times rely like the execution is automated, it's built by bots, it's scaled by our codes. But for due diligence, I know we not only look at their smart contract, but also I check with a couple of like industry friends for reference. I will ask, are they the real founders for this project? Or are they the shadow founders, right? Who is really operating on this protocol? And can we trust them? What's their current reputation? I actually will also ask, is there any dramatic things happen before? Because some people are gonna tell me a little bit more deeper information of where that team comes from. How is the team that working so far? If you exist in this DeFi world, I'm just saying, if you have been building more than a year or a couple months, we definitely can dig out the background information for each of the teams. If nobody has heard the team, probably you should not put any money into that project either. Because I do believe like everything exists and then you can track its source. And I mean maybe I don't have the enough power or I cannot publish all that information, right? Because it's not my business to publish all the information, but at least whenever we are choosing a protocol to operate on, to build strategies on, we can already do the curation and the complete due diligence. And and for people who know me very well, they also know I'm a very straightforward person. When they talk to me about like collaboration, I'll be like, okay, I sometimes I would just say, I think their product is good, but I don't trust the founder. So thus I wouldn't work with them. Like I directly will say this to my team. Maybe I don't say it in the public, but I don't know like how you guys do it. Like I definitely will set a very separate wall for that. Chime in, guys.
The question is how we approach like non-reputable people, or how we
uh
think about working with people and whether or not we find them reputable.
Yeah, I think you can share from different angles. I was just sharing more from how I think our information source are very different and how meaningful is for us to all come together and share the
Mm,
information across it. But I don't find an effective way to share that information with the retail users yet. The only thing I can do right now is to show our choices through our product. But on the other side, maybe a deeper question is like what level of information does the retail users need to know?
yeah, I mean, it's just a quick thought on that. I definitely like what you just mentioned about showing it through your brand. Like, I think as you guys build, I think it's just a very practical thing to do. Like, because it's a hard problem to solve, right? Like, you're not just going to kind of like repost your internal monologue about how somebody you think somebody's like a shady motherfucker. Like, you're not gonna just do that every time. So it's like, what can you practically do? And like as we just talked about before, there are more tools that are coming to market that aggregate together social and on-chain data and all this stuff, and you can kind of like start building profiles. But in the meantime, I definitely think as Sprout, I think what you said is spot on. Like, I mean, the your product decisions and who you guys decide to work with, like, I think that is like those are statements that are made about like where your guys' value lies and like the value and that you see in your network and who you choose to work with. So I think that's a great one. And like if they as people learn to trust the Sprout brand, they're also trusting partners and people who are a degree removed from the Sprout brand because you trust them. And so I think that like that one degree removed, um, I feel like it's still very strong. It's still a very strong kind of connection and trust vector.
Thank you. And then to add on top of that is like every day I'm just continue to think, okay, what kind of factors or data we can publish out there to make the users trust us more, right? If we want them to trust our execution in terms of our strategies, then maybe we need to always continuously publish our say delta value, or we should continuously to publish, okay, here's like the real positions that we are maintaining on those different projects, or at least in some way to let the users know, okay, we have enough margin buffer, and then we're continuously to rebalancing those positions on behalf of you so that you don't need to worry about that. On the other side is incentive alignment, right? I know a lot of users, they don't just come for cash incentives, they also pay a lot of attention to the points. And to me, I think I will never say, oh, we as a platform we will be able to price the points accurately because that's not our business. But at least I will know whether this DeFi platform is worth farming or not. First, whether they are trustworthy. Second, do I trust their product capability or not? What I meant is whenever I chat with a team, right? Usually I will chat. There will always be a couple of team members who will join the call, and almost always during the first call, I will already have an assessment of like how deeply they care about the product features, or whether I'm talking to the right person about the product, and thus like by them describing their product roadmap, I will have a more accurate assessment of like, oh, whether I am bullish on this protocol or not. And then certainly is if we are already bullish on their protocol as well as on their execution, then we will build the accurate accounting system to make sure we show, okay, each of the users are getting the points that they deserve when they use Sprout to farm or to participate in that specific DeFi protocol. And what's even better will be like, okay, I want to negotiate a better deal, right? If they get it through Sprout, can they get additional boosts? And I was literally just discussing with Dino on this like this morning. We're gonna collaborate on something to to potentially identify the users who actually need Sprout as a product. Because I think the era of, oh, I mean, people are still paying users to use their product, and I'm not against it. I think like we should gather users' feedback. But there are also a lot of users, they really need to use the product. It's gonna solve their pain points, meaning like filtering out the good projects, figuring out who are the reputable builders. But it's also like uh, reputation is also an identification for the users, right? So maybe from a project perspective, yes, I know any kind of users is user, any kind of deposits, but essentially we want to find the users who actually believe in our core ethos, right? Who actually are willing to have the patience to deposit money and to continue to grow their money through Sprout. Because it doesn't make sense for us. I mean, I would try to say, oh, maybe if you do this, you can keep your money without like losing it all in gambling. But adults or human beings are very hard to change, to be honest. So I think it's also like it's a double direction of filtering. Like users are filtering the projects. Projects are also filtering the users, but not in an active way, in a passive way.
Exactly.
I
It's just
yeah.
like a verification process, like the boss hire a new employee, but the talented employees also try to check whether this boss is talented or not, or if they can handle any kinds of problems the company, the projects meet in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about it, right? Like, it absolutely goes both ways. So you might, for example, be looking for, power users of DeFi who have, this type of skill set and experience, and that's a proxy for them having, for example, like the capital to allocate into Sprout. But then also at the same time, like you might also maybe a subset of them you care about more. Like you're kind of evaluating like pretty in depth as well. Like so maybe you decide, hey, I want to talk to all those types of people, but I really care about people at the stage of my project is at who are willing and able to give, for example, really good feedback, and I want to value them as like ambassadors or something like that. Or maybe you go even further and say like the subset of people who are like power users and skilled at DeFi who are willing to give useful feedback, but also share my values. Like I want those people to be ambassadors for my brand. So you are kind of interviewing your users. And like I do think it's like really, really important to like almost like be willing to hire and fire your early users in a way, because that shapes your product. Like people who you listen to in the early days are literally going to shape your product. So like you should, in a sense, evaluate and interview them in a way.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do that, right? Let's analyze our users all
No,
together.
it's good. It's good, right? Like you should. And it's not it's that shouldn't be like a scary seeming thing. That should just be like what you're like ultimately just truth seeking for like what's the best possible match between like users and their preferences, their skill sets, their values and yours.
Yeah, I mean, I was just typing out the potential users I want to target, right? And I already list out a couple of features written like between Sprout and Fluent Channel. I said like from Sprout, I want to find the users who are using existing DeFi protocols to yield farm. Maybe you guys are looking at low risk DeFi, but also you can take a look at Sprout to see whether you want to tap into some a little bit higher risk or maybe a basket of both low risk and high risk so that you can enjoy a stable earnings while still have a chance to tap into the upside of newer DeFi protocols. And then the other kind will be users who have been trading but have been losing money. And literally like you can see this so many on the timeline, right? One day you ape into a meme coin or you ape into, let's say, a three-digit APY protocol, but next day they rocked. Do you really want your life to ride a roller coaster like that? Uh, and then third kind, what did I write? Third, let me tap into my notes. Uh, the give me 1 second.
As you're doing that, no, you're right, right? I mean, like when you start thinking about it this way of
Mm,
like what is the
mm,
psychographic and user profile that like would
mm.
be the best fit for my product, you might find uh, interesting insights like that. You might be like, actually, it's the bad traders who might be sick of losing money and want to actually take like a kind of personalized, like risk adjusted option, as an example. Or like you said, like people who participated in XYZ different like rug that might be just sick of all this shit, and they might just want to have like a trusted kind of like save effectively like personalized savings experience. And so that's exactly where I think that crypto needs to move towards. It's just like a higher level of like intentionality. Um, and like I mean, we think of it as like fluent, like we think of it all as kind of contextual reputation, but that's really what it is. It's just being like really intentional about who are you trying from a builder perspective, like who are you trying to target, like, and what problem are you trying to solve, and just making sure you're like matching those two
Yeah.
things as like best as possible.
And then the third kind is I found in notes is like people who have money lying around the different
Yeah.
wallets. Yeah. And another thing, I mean, I don't know if it's super relevant, but I think like I hear so many founders or I see so many people talk about user experiments, like experience or testing or gathering feedback. But I actually don't see that happening a lot. So the more I dive into user interviews or the more I reach out to people proactively on Twitter, on Telegram, uh, the more I actually like, I have more confidence. Okay, people really love it, right? And then you can really see their excitement. And then a lot of times it's like when you talk with potential users or your friends, maybe initially they wouldn't give you the 100% honest because they don't want to hurt your feelings, or they will be like, okay, let's just say nice things, right? But as I dig deeper and deeper, and it'll be like, okay, how about this? How about that? I just say a lot of assumptions, and then essentially I deliver the product in front of them. They'll be like, okay, Maina, you figure this out, and I will definitely use this. And then I will also loop in a couple of my friends. And that's a moment I realized, okay, I really hit to their pain points. This is like a more recent finding from like my perspective. And I would say like building Sprout has changed a lot of way of how I view the world because as you guys said, it's such a practical tool. Like we are literally dealing with people's money, and to me, I think this is probably one of the highest form of trust that you can ever get with a person, right? Uh, like if you don't, and then I don't want to say this in the wrong way or the pessimistic way. It's but we Alvin and I, we already like say this many times in our live stream. It's like maybe you think you have a lot of friends in real life, like you go out eat together, you go have fun, right? But until the moment you actually deal with like some finance problems, or you actually can trust each other with money, that's the real beginning of your relationship, your connection. And I think like the reason why like crypto as an industry try to solve the trustless or the reputation problem is like we want to remove that friction, right? But unfortunately, after so many years, we are still probably at square. I think we're at square 0.5 or square one on solving this problem, and most of the real world frictions are still not removed. uh, I, I think it's already shown so vividly across the globe right now, like in terms of the regimen shifts. Look at how adamant, how strong the president of the United States have been behaving, right? And then, I mean, we're not like a commentator for politics, but any kind of rules or regulations can be overturned overnight, and nobody is shielded from anything. So that's why I always recommend like we all team up together as good builders, and we build a system so for anti fragility, like nobody is shielded individually from this. So we it's always going to be an uphill battle. uh if you guys don't have anything to chime in, let's like continue on the reputation stuff. I mean, uh so, Dino, recently you did an NFT launch, and
Mhm.
there are so many people talking about it. I see so many of my friends talk about an NFT launch on my timeline, but there are also people who have questions about the NFT launch. Now it's your stage. We give you maybe 5 minutes to talk about this.
I will have to jump in 2 minutes, unfortunately, to
Mm,
another call, but,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we launched a couple things, right? So we launched, Fluent Connect and Prince, so, similar to this conversation that we're having, actually. Fluent Connect is an app that helps builders discover, connect with, and distribute value to to real reputable users, right? And so, kind of similar functionality that we're talking to today, where you're a builder, you are build, you're a Sprout or you're another kind of like DeFi builder, and you come in and say like, all right, like what's my target audience, and I want to filter and find people who fit that really well. And you know what? Like I'm going to, because there's that like extra level of intentionality and connection, like you've kind of doing that homework, you kind of earn the right to, to ask them to maybe like come give them early access to come use your product, or maybe make them some kind of ambassador, or include them in your ICO, or whatever you want to do. But like there's an extra level of, it just works really well. If anybody has like experience listening to this in just like sales, like when you've done that extra level of homework and you know that like the person is a good fit for your product, like it works. People like resonate with that. They say like, oh, they're right. Like I do have these certain like user preferences, or psychologically I'm a certain way, or my values are a certain way. They're right. They're speaking right to my core. And so like that's what we're trying to provide builders, the ability to kind of like, parse through all of that noise based on different reputation signals, and find their 1,000 true fans. And then that's built on this product, this primitive called Prince, that does like the aggregating of different reputation signals and makes that like a useful builder tool. And then yeah, we did kind of like the Genesis like NFT thing based on it, and we haven't actually revealed the art yet, but there's kind of like a placeholder for it. But just it will be a visual manifestation of kind of the reputation somebody has built as a snapshot in time for now, and we have some fun plans on how that kind of dynamically evolves the way someone's reputation actually does in real life. So yeah, way more to come there. I will have to jump, guys. Apologies, but this has been really fun. I'm always happy to hop back on.
Yes. Yep. Sounds good, Dino. We will see you soon.
All
Bye.
right, love it, guys. Go Sprout.
Go Guardians Echo. Okay, this is real. just to clarify, is for me and Alvin to talk about different projects. It's not like a showing product for like Sprout, right? Just to clarify, today why we are talking about so much is more. I think this resonates so well of like why I have been building Sprout since the end of like 2024. Um, but I guess like let's continue. Alvin, you having quiet today.
Uh,
Reputation.
reputation. Yeah. Yeah, we talk about for the past many topics, talking
Mm.
about the mechanism how different products can be integrated with the no matter the credibility of mm, the project teams themselves, but
How
also
do you
there are
trust a project team, Alvin? Let's start with a simple question. How do you trust them?
how do I trust them?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do a lot of procedures, due diligence procedure. Like, for me, it's very easy to look into the background of the projects in like in 10 minutes, like from LinkedIn through data, even
Mm.
search. Now, if the project has enough public information, it's very easy for them to check all the information about the team. It's quite easier compared to like several years ago. And next thing, maybe I'll check with which the social circle the founder is in. It's very important because if the founder is sketchy or scammy, they will
Mm.
find all the related uh like the same type of KOLs and partners. It's very clear. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I think
it,
this is an interesting topic. I know it's also sensitive. So I
yeah.
mean, probably in your mind, there's a map of like KOLs you don't trust, you don't agree with, and then there are
Yeah,
a group
for
of
sure.
KOLs. They will just like take money. But
Yeah, everyone has bias.
how does the retail users know, or how can we help them to know?
Yeah. I talked this concept many times. Like, actually, Kaido did something wrong or something good. I think the best thing is they come up with the new like social circle concept that not so many people care about, but I think it's very important for us to check. Different social circles um can affect so many things in the future.
Mm, mm, mm,
Like
mm,
if we go through the leaderboard of the different accounts, like under different projects or ecosystem or even VC, you can easily check how they interact with each other. And actually, we can also divide KOLs can also be divided into different types. The KOLs always shooting different projects. All the contents are about advertisement. And some KOLs they have a solid reputation in some area expertise like DeFi, AI, or general information or macroeconomics.
mm, mm,
So we can divide these skills into these types at first step. Then the second step, just like I said, the social circle. Because um if the KOL work at like VC or projects or exchanges before, they may have much more experiences no better in how can they deal with the projects, but also they have a high cognition for toward the industry and the projects. Yeah. So it's totally different from the KOLs always shilling projects and 90% of the contents are advertisement. Yeah. And it's very clear, I think.
yeah, I agree. It's actually very easy to tell whether this person has a more direct information source or channel
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
other
And I
people.
think industry experience is very important.
Mm,
It's a very straightforward factor for us to differentiate all the
mm,
KOLs, no matter KOLs, but also the founders.
yeah, and I don't. I think it's fair to say like most of people are shallow or direct in a way that like they will tell you different level of information depending on who you are, which I think is a fair game. It's how the world is operating, right? So that's why a lot of those like BD meetings are happening. It's like they will always you will always introduce each other, say, "Oh, this is what I've done in the past. This is what you have done in the past," and then we can check like if there's any overlap, and then immediately they will try to understand, okay, whether they can bullshit you or not. And if they realize they couldn't bullshit you, then they will tend to give you more information. Yes.
Yeah.
So
So yeah,
mm,
it's also one of the factors we um to like to check if the person is legit or not. Yeah, if one guy um they always treat many people in the same way, I think, oh, it's good. And if one guy they treat different types of people in so many different ways, I think it may be a red flag for me. But also depends on the topics and where we are.
mm. I mean, I think one thing we can't really change is like people's memory. Because literally, I think I remember so many like events happening in the space, and I know exactly what they did, like for this specific project, right? But like, even though I keep a track in my mind, I can't really, or I don't have the incentive to continue to point it out on Twitter because you don't want that many enemies, right? And then people are already forgetting. But I think like for each individual, when you make your judgment, you should keep a track of your memory, meaning like whenever you want to make an important financial decision where to put your money to, whether you want to participate in the ICO or any kind of token projects, then like pull out that memory sheet and then make your decision. It's it's not worth FOMOing if you really want to continuously compound your wealth in this world, because think about this, right? If you just miss one opportunity, you're just miss a 0% return. Your money just stay the same. But if you aped into the wrong opportunity, it's a probably a 90% decrease in your wealth. Is it really well worth it?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting topic.
Right? And then I think like this is so vivid for the last week. Think about Trove. Think about space. How many people ape into those opportunities without due diligence when there are so many people following you, when all the KOLs are saying, oh, if you don't participate in this, you're gonna miss your life, like your generation wealth opportunity. I
Life changing opportunity.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Alvin, like you I know neither of us will post like that. But there are so many chaos in the space who post like that just to get more attention and just to show their own backs, right? Treating users as exit liquidity. Um, and then the only thing we can do is continue to tell users, okay, don't fall into the trap, don't fall into the emotional trap. Do your own diligence. But people
Yeah,
always forget. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
Most times we make a decision in in a uh, in a highly emotion,
mm,
and most of it are wrong.
you know what we can do. Actually, I think this will be a interesting product idea. I don't know how long it will take to build. It's basically you can build a Chrome extension, or you can build even like a wallet extension. Whenever you are so hyped and you are searching something on Twitter, right? You are scrolling through, and then real time it will give you some signals of like, okay, this is the list of like KOLs show. This is the list of KOLs of what's saying, and then this is the emotional triggering. Like you can even detect, okay, how triggering this specific tweet is to you, right? And then in that way, if the tool is reminding you how you are triggered, then you see your emotion and probably you can make a better decision because you understand you are hyped by those tweets and by those Telegram group chats.
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, I mean, me and Alvin, we're just like discussing like possibilities. So Alvin, did you participate in space?
No, no, no. I skip this.
Yeah.
And one of the red flags, oh, they extended the fundraising process for too long, and there's so many runs. Like, oh, it shows what's the multiplier of the current time, if you investing how much you can get uh what the different multiplier of the tokens or something. And I think it's very sketchy. So I just skip it.
Mm. I mean, I can disclose another thing, right? Whenever you guys see very large or oversubscribed ICOs, this could also be manipulated numbers from the project team. No matter which
Yeah.
platform you're using, maybe it's their own money. They can also inflate it, right? I mean, of course,
Yes.
you say, oh, you can check it on chain, but how hard is it for me to say, oh, I use this much of money I put into this as stress, right? Because essentially I know like the project founder know he or she can get it back, but he just want to demonstrate it to you. So
Yeah.
so I think like really if you really wanna know whether this is worth on it, like return to fundamentals. Whatever they're promising, you should be able to have a way to trace, right? And this is also how I think about product decisions or how I hold Sprout accountable is like I I will think, okay, what do I need to deliver? What do I need to show the users so that they can trust, right? I talked about execution, right? How do we demonstrate to them like, okay, you can trust execution. Maybe not through just we say, oh, we have this risk management system. Maybe we show them the statistics. Hey, this is all the factors, or those are the real time data you can check, right? Whether the execution is good. And how do we show we did the due diligence? I mean, that part I'm still thinking, but I think like I can definitely like get an agreement with the protocol team, right? I can also show the points real time. I mean, if we can get a contract, like I definitely I will try to get a contract, right? I don't know how to publish that, but I'm just saying like those are all the directions that a project founder can think about and deliver to you. If they're not doing that, push them to do it until you you like it. Because I do think like if we really want to return to the fundamental values of a project, you should expect this project to live longer, right? To
Mm.
exist before a couple
Yeah,
of
yeah,
years.
yeah. Longevity. Longevity is
Long,
very important,
longevity
especially as
of
a
your yeah
yeah,
of yourself and of the project and the
yeah,
longevity
sustainability.
and also like longevity of KOLs, right? Like like you should hold
Yes, that's I
me and
saw
Alvin
so many
accountable.
KOLs that vanish in the bearish market. Yes, so many.
Exactly. Hold us accountable. If you feel like we said something that's questionable, just go to our Twitter, DM us, or just post
Yeah,
on
so I
Twitter.
think that's why I love to build in the bearish market because the strongest connection I built in the past few years are all from bearish market, all from bear market. Because in bear market there are not so many incentives and um, sketch people. Actually, for sure they will come back in a next round of bull market, but uh, I think that's the reason why mm, the bear market exists and has a like a 底牌阶段吧. It's like a
Branding.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
I mean, Alvin, are you talking to a lot of project founders every day? What are they saying right now? Let's share a little bit of that.
Mm, actually, not so many, but like the market sentiment is not so good right now. But
Mm,
maybe there will more to come in the coming weeks because the consensus is happening.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
I'm still deciding whether to go or not, but I will let you know. I think like so many people will be going. I'm just so afraid of the jet lag.
Oh yeah. Skips a lot.
Yeah, and I think like one thing we haven't touched is like reputation across East and the West that we haven't touched yet.
Oh
And
yeah, I think that's why so many I'm so bullish on the reputation related projects because they can bridge the gap between the different regions and profiles.
but I still think there's a huge split. To be honest, right now, I don't
Yeah, for
know
sure, for
who's
sure,
gonna
for sure.
solve the
Even
problem.
even the technology is very convenient right now.
Yeah, technology is not convenient, and then I guess like how those projects are collecting the data is also very super dependent on the team's background. Um, and I hope like there will be one project who understand like both the Western culture and the Eastern culture can combine the data sources as well as be more hybrid in terms of the analytical way. Mm.
Yeah,
But
and
maybe we should just be able to deal with this unilateral or bipolar system.
actually, sometimes I believe that many people just tend to be blind themselves. They don't want to know so much information. They just want to try. They just want to believe what they are seeing right now. They don't want to do due diligence. I don't know. But
But
as the
mm,
time goes by, the reputation system uh is very. I think it's a must.
it's not our problems to solve. It's a problem that the whole industry need to solve. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it has been a great hour, Alvin. But let's I mean, is there anything else we need to remind to the users or we need to discuss for this week, like before we close this live stream? I mean, of course, today we have been mainly talking about reputation, right? But there are so many things ongoing in the
Mm.
market. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Trump is like a crazy, so crazy these days,
Yeah.
and we can feel for crypto players they are getting more pessimistic ever than ever. But I think that's not a big issue. Mm, though the market condition may not good this year, but still a lot to come.
What's surprising right now? Let's see. Bitcoin is at
It's, it's
88,000.
it's under 90K again.
Yeah. And ETH
So
is
dramatic.
2,900. I mean, I okay, another information is like a lot of friends of mine in order they are not having any like directional exposure. And including myself, I don't have much position that has like direction exposure because I'm not betting on the asset itself. But I do hold some like long-term assets.
Yeah, long-term builders don't care that much. I know.
Yeah, like we all hold long-term assets, but that those assets you kind of like you don't trade it, right? You just hold there, and then
Yeah.
you wait until maybe 2 or 3 years later if you want to sell it, you sell it. But that's even very short, like 2 to 3 years. I'm thinking like 5 to 10 years, and I see people
Hmm.
on the timeline talking about, oh, there's like OGs telling him to sell Bitcoin, and then there are OGs like aping into gold. But again and again, I think people will hold both gold and BTC because those are both sovereign tools, right? And and if anyone is like surely on the timeline say, "Oh, you should sell your Bitcoin," I just, I mean, I honestly speaking, I don't know what I should be commenting. Maybe short term you can make some profit, but in the long run, do you have the confidence that you can buy back the Bitcoin at a price low enough that you are gonna get satisfied?
Yeah, I think it's a confidence question. Mm.
It's a confidence. It is a confidence question. Many people doing DCA has their own reasons, right? But the trade off is very obvious. And by the way, of it, I'm just telling you, like as I talk to more developers, there will be more people they want to be like a solopreneur or like they just want to create their own startup. I can like 100% feel this.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when are you going to build your product, Alvin?
I can feel it. I will do these 2 weeks because I turned to the open code from cloud code these
Mm.
days. It's
Yeah,
very has a
because
very
you're
big
you're such
magic
a good
power.
person to build this. To be honest, like because you understand the different social groups, right? You are a nice person, meaning you are building like very solid connections and friendship with so many different people. Uh, just comparing to me, right? I'm a bit more edgy, or I'm a bit more opinionated, right? A bit more nerdy, but you actually you maintain the balance really well. So you can actually also summarize the social circle behavior and have deeper insights into that. So you should like, I think it's a good thing for you to tap into your expertise there.
Yeah, yeah, this is really the most topic I'm interested in the past few years.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, everybody can see it so clearly. So it's just a matter of time, like how and when you're gonna tap into that. But I'm like 100% supportive, 200%, 300%.
Yeah, I just one message just pop out like when reputation is the filter inside sport are from oh it's a newsletter from Legion. What a coincidence.
What Legion? What did they do?
It's a newsletter talking about the reputation issue.
Yeah, I mean, I
Oh,
I think people gonna have trust crisis very soon. And then there are a lot of people. I mean, Alvin, I don't know if you have seen that, right? So many people are having a little bit like mental health issue. This is not a joke. I'm saying like with the development of AI, with the changing of society, and with the widening of societal wealth across the different social groups, it's it's alarming. And people's behavior as well as their mental state has been changing during significantly during the last several years, and we are only seeing this expediting because you can even see the leadership are so adamant on like making this society volatile. So like I think a lot of people gonna have like trust issues and those kind of issues. And that's why like we always talk about reputation. We always talk about, okay, how do we use a data driven mindset and approach
hmm.
to build your judgment system.
Mm, so nice. It can be the uh, infra for different projects.
It is an
Mm,
infrastructure that's missing. That's like
mm.
nobody has cracked out yet, but I think like it'll be interesting to figure it out. And then I'm willing to push the frontier here.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Okay. Thank you guys for joining the hour long live stream. I know today we didn't give much insight about like what's happening. Oh, I mean we still touch a little bit of what's happening in the market, but we definitely all think like reputation is a topic. Trust is a topic that we always well need to talk about in this volatile world. And I hope everybody find your own peace and trust in your relationships, in the tools you are using, and in your life that you are building. No matter what you choose, no matter whether you want to chase your dream across the globe or you want to build a safe life, a peaceful life at your homeland, or you just like nomading to figure your life out. I hope you always find your peace with yourself. And I will see you
Yeah.
guys next week.
Yep. Wish everyone have a has a good weekend.
Yes.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye bye.